An awful car crash took the lives of a young sports star and her father. The victim's family don't believe it was an accident. The deceased beauty's ghost will unmask the killer. This is Psychic Investigations, a channel of true stories. Here, people who call themselves clairvoyants investigate resonant criminal cases and unbelievable mystical anomalies. In this episode, the psychics will deal with the circumstances surrounding the death of a young Ukrainian athlete, Victória, a Ukrainian, European, and world champion in acrobatic rock and roll and a master of sports. This video was filmed in September 2014. A month later, Victória was gone. She had just returned from a competition. The following day was to be Victoria's long-awaited day off, and she and her dad were going by car to visit her grandma in the village. But at the edge of the city, a terrible wreck occurred.
A Ukrainian champion in acrobatic rock and roll, and her father died in a car crash.
Victória was Yulia's only daughter and sense of her entire life. Her awards, drawings, and poems are the only things that her mom has left.
Dear Mom, please stay young, kind, cheerful, happy, and kind to me.
When the tragedy occurred, Yulia was at work. After she received a call from the police, she immediately dashed to the site of the crash.
Somewhere here, at the roadside, she was covered. Her heart wasn't beating anymore, unfortunately.
Victoria's father, Anatoly, died from the injuries he received.
The armored vehicle was here, and the car was around here. It virtually had no hood. It was crushed almost completely.
At about 2:30, the collision between the Opel Kadett and the armored personnel carrier, which was standing idle ahead of it in the same lane of the highway, happened.
The personnel carrier broke down on its way from the conflict zone in the Donetsk region. The crew were waiting for the assistance. The collision was so powerful that the almost 14-ton armored machine even jolted.
The engine crashed into the car's interior. The soldiers from the carrier, they ran up to them immediately and pulled Anatoly out of the car, but Victória was literally crushed. The rescuers had to cut the car to get her out.
A strange wreck it was. The military vehicle was standing on the roadside and did not pose an obstruction to the car. It had warning signs in front and behind it. The highway is straight, without any sharp turns or narrowings. It's highly unlikely that Anatoly didn't see it.
I drove the same day and the view was clear.
He was an experienced driver. He drove carefully and never speeded.
Anatoly drove a car for 23 years. No alcohol or drugs were found in his blood. The family and friends are sure that if something unexpected had happened on the road, Anatoly would have definitely dealt with it.
If he'd seen an obstacle on the road, he would have tried to avoid it to save his daughter.
But all the facts indicate that it wasn't the case.
No brake trace, nothing.
This is unusual. In an emergency, a driver instinctively attempts to avoid contact with the obstacle or source of danger. And doing it, they brake hard or maneuver.
I don't understand why he didn't brake.
Currently, there is no explanation for why he drove straight into the obstacle.
They still can't understand how it happened.
A Molfar Olena Stetsenko and a British spiritual medium Anna Galliers are going to find out the circumstances under which the world champion in acrobatic rock and roll and her father died.
This accident wasn't supposed to happen. Somebody provoked it.
You know, Anna, when I look at this girl's photo, I see another girl and she raises her hand with a knife over Victoria's head. and Victoria is smeared with blood.
It's weird, but I don't feel knife wounds on her body. Looking into the eyes of the girl in the photo, I only hear one thing: break the circle, release me. What could she mean?
I've been looking forward to meeting you. Come in, please. I'd really love you to help me.
Your daughter, she should be here with us. It feels like her life was taken by force.
I have a constant feeling she's somewhere near me. I remember. I went to bed one night and then woke up to a tiny knock, and I had a feeling Victoria was somewhere around.
This is true. Her spirit is with us, but it's hard for her because she's stuck between the worlds.
I saw her in my dreams. She said she didn't understand what had happened.
The spirit of the girl cannot leave our world. Usually this happens to those who committed suicide or died abruptly as a result of an accident or murder.
Energetically, the accident was colored in red. It's some kind of aggression. Once, a widow came to see me. She had lost her husband in a car wreck, and her main question was, why didn't he brake? As we found out, somebody had cut his brake. And later it turned out these were his business rivals.
Did the car in which the father and the daughter were have its brakes tampered with? Is it possible that the police officers who checked the car overlooked it?
I know for sure that the car was taken for an examination. They took off its wheels to check the brakes. The technical condition of the car was excellent.
I tried to feel the moment of the tragedy, but I saw darkness. I saw absolutely nothing. I had a feeling somebody or something was blocking the information from me. Or perhaps the driver was unconscious or dead when the accident happened.
He was alive after the crash. The soldiers from the carrier said they immediately got out of the vehicle after the collision, and Victoria, who took the main damage, had no pulse by then. But he was alive. They pulled him out, but he died on the way to the hospital.
After the collision, he turned his face to his daughter, and his eyes saw the bloodied child, and a tear dropped from his eye, and the pain, an awful pain in his heart.
He loved her so much, and she loved him.
These are the last photos of Yulia's daughter, taken just a month before the tragedy.
He loved his daughter madly, just madly. When we were departing for our first international tournament, her father was crying that he was letting her go alone. He was so attached to her.
I have a feeling of a broken circle, like a cracked circle or cracked life.
I get what you're talking about. There was the ring. It's my husband's wedding ring. He used to say it was her lucky charm, and he always gave her the ring because he wanted it to be with her.
I feel it cracked.
Just a couple of days before death.
Yes, the ring cracked.
A wedding ring splitting in two is an evil sign.
Where is that ring now?
I don't know where this ring is or what happened to it.
There is no wedding ring on your finger either. Your connection as a couple is broken.
Unfortunately, we broke up.
It turned out that Victoria's parents divorced a year before the tragedy. The man's unfaithfulness ruined their family life, but for the sake of their daughter, Anatoly and Yulia kept a friendly relationship.
She even felt as if they still had a regular family.
He often drove her to trainings and brought her home afterward.
She always wanted us all to be together, but unfortunately after we broke up, she suffered a lot. He wanted to take her with him,
At some point, they began to argue about who Victoria should live with, and I said, Anatoly, please, don't take the daughter away from her mother.
I don't feel well. I don't understand who or what it is, but it's in the room now. Laughter. It's like laughter from the other world. I feel somebody laughing at Victoria's death. Your child's prospects were bright. Even at her age, she had achieved things that would take others their entire lives to achieve.
Indeed, being only 14, Victoria had already visited many countries of the world and won around 30 prestigious awards. Professionals all over the world knew her. Thanks to her tours, being just a schoolgirl, Victoria earned as much as an adult at a good job.
There was a lot of anger against her. Many parents wished their children to have her success.
Somebody's blaming themselves for Victoria's death. They're in a huge building. White bricks and large pillars at the entrance.
The practice hall.
Did Victoria's father pick her up after trainings?
Yes. He drove there to bring her home in his car, and he took her there.
The man's car was always in front of that building. I'm afraid somebody could get rid of Victoria as a rival.
If the nuts securing the front wheels of a car are loosened, irrespective of the vehicle's current condition, it is possible for even an experienced driver to lose control over it after a certain distance. And in such a case, an accident is imminent.
Hold on, I hear your daughter. She's asking for something, pointing at this toy.
The teddy bear, we always took it with us when we went to tournaments. It was her lucky charm.
She's saying, Mom, bring it to me. I don't know where she wants you to bring it, but take it with you.
The building in which Victoria spent most of her time looks exactly as Anna Galliers described it.
This is her coach, Yevgenia.
Hello.
She trained most often in this hall.
She wishes she could hug you both, embrace you tightly, and say, "My two mommies, I miss you so much, and I really want to be with you."
We all have the feeling that the door will open at any moment, and she will come in to join us.
I see eyes all the time, the eyes whose gaze follows the girl constantly. Did you want to kill Victoria?
I didn't want it.
I see you holding a knife above her.
Diana is 15 years old. She and Victoria were best friends. But what does the psychic's baffling vision mean?
I have a photo. We took it a month before Victoria's death. We were having lunch together and there was ketchup there. So we smeared it on Victoria's forehead and took the knife. When I saw the picture, I was terrified it could have possibly happened because of it. We were best friends and always said we were sisters. We were very close.
Please, calm down. Don't blame yourself.
But I really feel that somebody was happy because she died. And they're still happy. This is so awful.
I don't know.
After we arrived from the cemetery, we checked her page, and there were terrible, disgusting things there.
We're happy you're dead. Now rot in there.
Did you check who posted it?
When you go to the page, there's nothing. It's blank. It has no information about the person. Nothing.
We analyzed the texts from Victoria's social media and tracked their authors. It turned out that there are groups on social media that find pages of people who died and poured dirt on them.
You know, a British newspaper once asked me to work with the photo of John Lennon from the Beatles. His fan killed him on his way home. I think these deaths have something in common. Victoria was also killed by her fan. The murderer is someone who was obsessed with her. I hear shouting. It's Victoria's voice. It's like she's calling someone, asking them to help her. Yulia, you often see your daughter at night.
Yes, I had such a dream. And she said I needed to go to the place where it had happened.
The psychics go to the site of the crash. It's already dark. To prevent accidents while the psychics are working, the police even partially block the road.
I see your daughter. Her father is next to her. I see his last gaze at his daughter and the tear in his eye. It's hot as fire. It's caused by pain. It's so intense. It's like he's experiencing the loss of his child again.
Yes, he'd been married before, and his wife had taken their child and left him. It was also a girl. His wife left with his daughter and forbade him to speak to her.
He felt pain because he'd been parted from his daughter, and he wanted to see her.
He always wanted it.
And so Victoria was his greatest treasure in life. He loved her so much, and the last tear he shed in his life is burning my heart.
I get it. This is Anatoly. Anatoly killed his daughter, the father. The father killed his daughter. This is impossible.
The father. But why? He loved his daughter so much.
I don't understand how it was even possible.
Yulia, he did it on purpose. He accelerated the car. He raced.
Why? Just why? I would never think it could be possible.
He wanted to take her with him.
He wanted to take her from me, but not her life.
He wanted her to always be with him. He wished her to live with him.
Yes, he really wanted to take her, so she would live with him, but she said she wanted to live with me.
As it turned out, in recent months, the man had been talking regularly that he wanted his daughter to live with him. But Victoria kept refusing.
And when they were in the car, he asked her again.
Will you live with me? But Victoria said, Dad, I love you so much, and I know how much you love me, but I'll stay with Mom. And at that moment, he saw red, and he hit the accelerator hard, and his only thought was, you're mine. You're only mine. The red energy of aggression. I felt it before the investigation. It was Anatoly's anger towards himself. He lost one daughter, and he couldn't do anything to make his other daughter stay with him. He didn't want to live like this anymore.
Her father loved her madly. It was fanatical love.
Not long before you arrived, I had a dream of her walking around our apartment. She brought me my phone, and in the phone, I heard his voice. I didn't want to speak to him, so I returned her the phone. And Victoria said, Mom, but he wanted to talk. He wanted to tell you something.
He feels guilty. Only after his daughter's death did he realize what he'd done.
The obsession with his daughter clouded his reasoning. Throughout the investigation, I kept seeing the transparent human figure. It was following us all day long. It was the father's spirit. I heard his laughter. It was hysterical laughter because he committed suicide and killed his daughter. He's a sinner, and she's an innocent soul. They're in different worlds now, and they will never see each other again. This is horrendous.
He once visited me in a dream. I don't remember how much time after the crash had passed. He told me he wasn't with Victoria, and he didn't know where she was.
This is the reason your daughter kept haunting you in your dreams. asking to come to the site of the tragedy. She wanted you to see that there's no brake trace. She wanted to draw your attention to it because her father hadn't braked. He did it purposefully.
She wants to go, but something's holding her back. And she's showing me her hands. There's something glittering on them.
This ring, she wore it, I took it.
Was she wearing it at the moment of her death?
Yes, they gave it to me.
This ring keeps her anchored to this world. Her soul can't leave it. You need to take the ring to her grave, or have it sanctified at a church. Thus, she can go on living in the other world. She doesn't want you to be lonely. She wants you to have a child and go on living.
I understand. I'd like to thank you so much for helping me.
And she wants you to leave the toy here. Simply put it down here before we go and say goodbye to your daughter.
This is horrific. The father's fervent love and wish that his daughter would stay with him resulted in a terrible tragedy. If you're also impressed by this story, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. Many more impressive investigations are ahead.